So
There you are. There you are.
all the prep and what was it good for, right?
What was it good for? Allison, how are you?
Hi, I'm so good. How are
It's
you
been,
today?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear from you. It's good to see you. I saw you not too long ago. You got some beautiful artwork behind you. Uh,
Yes, Taylor herself.
that's right. That's right. So this episode, Bare Essentials, is the seventh episode of Power Rangers Wild Force. Why'd you choose this episode?
Well, I chose three different ones, and then we talked about it. I chose three of my favorites. I chose this one over the first, the very first Wild Force episode, and also too, I was thinking maybe to do Reinforcement from the Future, but I thought, if we're talking about Taylor today, this one really features Taylor Earhart, and it shows her backstory, which is really fun, and which was really one of the main reasons why I loved playing Taylor, um, was because I got to play a really cool Air Force pilot.
You
Right.
did. Now,
Oh,
right off the bat, what are some of the things that you remember from shooting this episode before we dive in and start watching it together?
I've been acting since I was 8 years old, and I normally, when I'm on set, don't get nervous. And I really hadn't been nervous to film
Mm-hmm.
the show till shooting this episode.
Really?
I was, like we did certain, and we'll see as we watch the show, like green screen. And I was just put in certain situations that I'd really never been in, and I was really challenged. And it focused so much on my character. I don't think that I'd ever played any part on anything that really featured me so much, and then I had to carry. So I felt like I really had to do a really good job. So that was the first time that I really felt that nervous on a set. And it's like I said, I've been acting since I was 8 or 9, and I was 24 and 25 when I was filming this.
Wow.
So
Then, yeah, you've grown up in front of the camera, so this is a new challenge for you. And
it
I,
was.
I love the fact that before, when you get the script and you kind of know what you're doing, are there butterflies that you're already getting anticipation to this moment or this episode?
Totally,
Are there? Yeah,
totally.
that's
And
amazing.
they didn't really, we were shooting 2 and 3 episodes all at the same time. So we didn't really know what was coming up next. And, but I, as I got the script, and, we were told, hey, you guys each are going to have one episode that really shows your backstory, your history, and focuses on you. And of course, as an actor, most of us get a script and like to sort of like flip through it and
Right.
see where our lines are, and how much acting we get to really do each episode. So yeah, I had the butterflies, but acting still gives me the butterflies.
Now,
Always will.
with the way that the show worked with the episodes, did you know ahead of time that episode 7 was going to be a Taylor focused episode from the producers, or is it so you don't know?
No, we didn't really talk a lot with them. We were filming so much. We had such long days. We were at the set at 5:45 every morning, in makeup, and then shooting started right at 7. So
It's
yeah,
incredible.
we didn't have a lot of downtime.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, let's get into this. We both have the episode queued up. I'm going to do a countdown.
Hopefully.
Yep. Hopefully. I'm going to do a countdown on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 play. On play, we're both going to hit play at the same time. And that countdown is going to start right now. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. Now, the episode should be playing for us. Now, this is the intro to Power Rangers Wild Force, which I always like the intro to Power Rangers Wild Force. I like the song as well. What were your first initial reactions to the song when you guys knew this was going to be the theme for your season?
First initial reaction. Yeah, wow. I kind of went, wow, this is like this is really happening. Like, we have like a full-on intro that's just for us. It was pretty mind-blowing, really.
Did you like the song when you initially first heard it?
It's, you know what, it is very catchy. It is sometimes too catchy because it's hard to get it out of your head when
Right.
you've heard it a few times.
Now, we're seeing a lot of your cast members here. We're also seeing, everybody that's involved with this. Some of these names that pop up, I'm sure you'll have stories for some of the names that we popped up. We just saw Jonathan Zacher. Here you are running. Where's this shot at in Bare Necessities?
It was in front of, well, we were at some like base. I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. We shot at a lot of abandoned like lots.
Uh-huh.
And this happened to be abandoned, which was really kind of strange.
Now, this is a cool transition because now we get to see
this
the
is
yellow
my green screen.
This is all green screen. Now, are you in a cockpit here? Like, this is a cockpit from an actual episode or from an actual fighter, I'm assuming.
So what was very, very cool, and actually it was really fun because my parents came for this shoot day. It was at that same place, the previous scene, this property had like all these huge warehouses that were empty. And when I walked in, there was this plane, but it was only really the cockpit. It didn't have wings on it. And they sat me in it, and I was nervous. I was, because really we're acting to nothing, right? And I had never done anything like this, but it was so much fun.
And this is pretty much just you on set with obviously special effects producers and stuff like that, but you're the one primarily focused here.
And I think that's where the butterflies came in, because this was just me. So I really had to think about what it was like to have, been a pilot, to been a female pilot. I had to do some real acting during this. So that was really fun and challenging.
Now, when we kick off Power Rangers Wild Force, we already know that you're the Yellow Ranger, so we know that a backstory is coming. When we finally get to episode 7, we get Taylor's backstory. Can you talk to me about the scenes? Like this is probably all set, right?
Yeah, so that's the Animarium. That's when I first meet Princess Shayla, and I've parachuted down to the Animarium, and she actually tells me what this crystal is for, and like here I'm like, and this scene, Joe, every single time I watch that exact scene where I pull it off my chain and look at it, it's very silly, but I get chills every single time. Yeah.
Do you still have these dog tags that you're clenching in your hand, by the way?
Yes, I do.
Do you really?
I still have them.
Phenomenal. Now, talk to me about these young twins that you acted with on set here. Any fun stories here?
Yeah, so they play the Bearzords. They did a great job, but I found them to be a little bit, not the kids, but they're a little creepy, right? Like, they don't speak.
It's a little bizarre. It's a little strange.
It is.
Now,
they were sweet kids, but they were very professional. They barely really spoke. They were very much in character the entire time during shooting, which also made it even weirder for me because I was just like, these characters are really weird.
Now here we are with your other former cast members here now talk to me about some of this stuff, because that's not shot on the same day, obviously, right?
So I was second unit. So there's always 2 units, first and second unit, and first unit is always at the soundstage. So first unit is always at the Animarium, which is where they were. And I'm shooting with second unit here. which is always on location, which is not on the sound stage.
Now, this monster here,
Yes.
all this is usually ADR. Can you talk to me about your ADR experience working on Power Rangers? And this one, very, very extensively, is a lot of it is just you. So talk to me about
Yes.
your ADR experience.
Well, ADR was always actually really fun, but it was a lot of like yeah and huh, and like see how I'm like getting the shit kicked out of
Right?
here, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot of and which when you do it for hours and hours, and Scott always made it so much fun. But we, it's a lot of silly noises that you're making,
Right.
and your throat after 2 hours it hurts. But it's totally worth it.
Now, we had just previously saw you physically outside of the suit fighting with these monsters.
That terrible outfit.
Yes, I know that you weren't really privy to a lot of the stunt work, but it seems like, you got thrown in there, especially in this episode. So this is a little bit of a different preparation for you. Can you talk to me about some of the stuff that you had to do to train in order to get the choreography right?
Well, we would go through what they wanted me to do prior, like directly prior to like shooting it. So there was never like, okay, the day prior, we're going to go through this fight scene. It's like, no, you're learning it now, then we're shooting it now.
Oh, wow.
Mikoto, who did a lot of my stunts, was amazing. And she wore this blonde wig, and she did such a great job of making me look great. But, like here, yeah, I mean, there were days that I came home with bruises, most definitely. So
is that really you doing? Is that really you doing those kicks?
Since I was talking, I didn't see all of it. I did do kicks. Could I do those kicks now? Did I do the roundhouse kicks? No. They trained us and tried to teach us how to do those, but I was pretty rubbish at that.
Now here we are seeing.
I'm not bendy,
right?
Like how they want us to be. During training, they would start our training day by pushing our leg, like pushing us up on walls and pushing our legs up. I'm like, I'm not bendy like that.
Out of that poses a good question. Out of your cast, who was probably the most athletic in terms of wanting to get in there and do that stunt work?
I think really everybody was up for the challenge. Like this scene is really creepy. Everybody was up for the challenge, but I think Ricardo was like really like he put his whole body and soul into all the running and the fighting. Like he like for the first which one? What's our first episode called? He actually wanted me to punch him, like really punch him. Like punch him as hard as I could. And I can punch pretty hard. So he was pretty method.
Was he really? That's something that I didn't know about
yeah,
Ricardo.
He put his heart and soul into playing that Red Ranger. He definitely
Now,
did.
You're not in this shot. This is
Yeah, I am.
Oh, you are in this shot.
So this was cool. I am playing my own mommy in this scene. So that's me. That's my head.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't get to see your face in this.
Well, yeah. So I'm supposed to be the tiny girl, and I guess they just thought by like only showing part of my face that.
I'm assuming that this is also another set, this plane set.
This was really cool, Joe. Yeah, it was this sort of half plane. It was like cut out. So that was also cool. I had never experienced something
now
like
here are the creepy twins that you would say they're back. I find this fascinating as well, is because this is a big character or a big focused episode on your character.
Yeah.
How much? Oh, here's some more fighting scenes. How much did going into it? How much did you know that certain aspects of your character were going to be displayed? Because we really do get the pilot sense, and we get a story arc. But is there anything more that you wanted to explore with Taylor?
I think I would have loved to have sort of, I don't know, seen her start out, in the Air Force, and see her start out and then work her way up. I think that would have been pretty cool, because she's very, very young, and it's like, well, how did she get to be like the top Air Force pilot at such a young age?
Right.
Right.
This is so crazy because like it seems like most of all of your shoot in this episode, it seemed like it was on location. It didn't. I mean, besides the Animarium set, it seems like you're pretty much on location for most of this.
Totally. Yeah. Which was also fun because 9 months of shooting on a sound stage. I mean, it's always great, but it's fun to like shoot at different places, and yeah, it's more challenging, and it just mixes things up a bit. Definitely.
Now, I was talking to Yoshi and Peter in our last episode, which is in our archives, people can find. But with this episode, it seems very much like, for the most part, your cast probably had days off when you were shooting a lot of this, unless they were doing all first unit stuff without you.
Production didn't waste time. So, like with Forever Red, right? We're not in it all that much.
Right.
But they kept us busy, always shooting something.
So you're always working for the most part.
Sorry, yeah?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, so for the most part, you're always shooting something.
Yeah. So like, I'm basically shooting this, but they're probably shooting the 2 other shows that they were, shooting simultaneously.
Right. Now, chat me up about this wall climb, rock climb, because it does look massive and large. Is it as big as it looks in person?
No, not even close. They did a really good job of this. This was nothing. It looked, of course, nothing like that. And I, of course, was not falling.
Right.
But no, green screen is magical.
So
and
you
can probably hear my birds.
No, it's okay. I love hearing your birds. Most of that stuff is green screen. You talked about that being a challenge here. What were some of the challenges that you did face with the green screen?
They're excellent questions. Okay, well, so say that we were on set, and we were on set at the Animarium, and we had to act as if some monster was coming our way. It's easier if you sort of are on the set and have the background to at least feel like you're immersed sort of in the scene or in the place. But when you're acting to nobody and to nothing, and the background is green, and you're surrounded by just set, and there's nothing really sort of helping you be in the scene, you really have to use your imagination a lot more so. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. And chat me up about some of the direction you were giving. What would it sound like on set when you're getting direction being on a green screen for some of these scenes?
Well, it depends who was directing. I didn't get a lot, like one of the directors, and I'm a total jerk. It's been almost 20 years and I forget his name, but I really loved him. He was really lovely. He did not speak a word of English. He was from Japan. He had a translator, but I loved how he directed me, because he would show me, like he would like he would show me what he wanted. He didn't say it. It was very cute. But yeah, so if he was, he would, say, okay. And then he would sort of act it out for me. Whereas like Koichi would do it a different way. And it's like, oftentimes they just let us roll with it and do our own thing. And then if they didn't like it, they would tell us
Gotcha.
to do
Now,
something else.
with I've talked to people from other seasons, and it seems like you're the third episode we're doing this for. And JDF spent a lot of time. He calls it helmet time, a lot of helmet time.
Yeah.
Yoshi and Peter, however, didn't have a lot. Like, they were actually never really in their suits, really at all.
Yeah.
Were you in your suit at all?
I was in that suit maybe 2 times, which is a good thing because it for curvy figured girls, it's not always so flattering. I just felt like I looked like a very large banana.
Oh, I don't think so at all.
My blonde head, thank you. But very few times. And then I don't think that I actually ever had a helmet on my head ever once.
Wow, really?
No.
Fascinating. And I believe that you told me in the past that there's not really any promo images of your guys' cast. Is that right?
No. What I am grateful for was that shooting this, I have a scene that will come up later where I pull up in a Jeep and I'm wearing my G suit and I have my hair back, and someone was kind enough on set to take some pictures of me in front of the plane.
Oh, wow.
Holding the helmet. And I treasure those. I really treasure those. I have nothing like it. So yes, I'm not in my costume, in my spandex, but I'm in my G suit. So Taylor's, Air Force suit.
That's awesome. I didn't know that, and that was just you just happened to take that picture later on in this episode.
Yeah.
Incredible. That's incredible.
Yes.
Now, Power Rangers Wild Force is obviously known for having a ton of Zords and a ton of animal themes in it, and I know that you're an animal lover yourself. How fitting, right? Yeah. So with that being said, is this the season that you felt was definitely right for you?
Yes. I mean, I feel like I could have fit in and really had a good time in some other seasons. But as far as animal, but back then, yeah, I had 2 cats, but I didn't know that many years later I would be the animal lover that I am today.
Sure.
So I think it's quite fitting now. Back then, I didn't even think of it. But animals, this is shot for kids.
It is.
And children love animals. So
this is also in transitional season because this is going from Saban's hands to Disney's hands at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And technically, it's very similar to what Beast Morphers went through just previously, going from the Saban to Hasbro era. I know that usually when things like this happen, especially your season, because this is the last season shot in California, and a lot of that crew wasn't going to carry over. Was there a sense of tendinitis for some of these, or not tendinitis, senioritis for some of these members of the crew that were behind the set? Because this was, they've been on this show for 10 years. It's coming to a close. Is there a bit of senioritis that's going on in Power Rangers Wild Force?
I don't want to ever, say that somebody wasn't doing their best or didn't have their heart in it. But, I'm a pretty empathetic person. And I could tell as soon as we got on set that there was just, granted, I had never been, worked with these people prior, but I'd been on many sets prior. And I just, it sort of had, like a little bit of a sadness, sort of like a little cloud over it, because think about it. These people had worked together for how many years, and they got to do what they loved every day. And suddenly that was being taken away from them. So
sure.
Same as an actor, when it's the last scene or the last episode of anything you're shooting, It's pretty, it's, it's scary and stressful.
There we are. The credits are rolling. Now we could freely
Yeah.
talk about the episode. Watching it back, does it conjure up any memories that you somehow either forgotten or didn't think about until just recently watching it right now?
Hmm. It's funny because I had watched this maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I had a friend over and he'd never seen it, and I wanted to show him. Um, I just, yeah, I just, now I wish that I had enjoyed it more. Um, and I think during that time, I was just so, like, I can see I was just very, very focused on the task at hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it like brings back like certain shoot dates and how I was feeling and how excited I was to actually, you know, be playing. So, as a woman, you don't really get to play such a badass character. You
Right.
don't get to actually step into a real F-16. Like I got to step into a real plane that had been used. It's like you don't, I don't normally get cast in those parts.
Now,
So,
with this episode in particular, obviously there's a lot of second unit happening. This is, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of that happening on this episode. With the physicality, it doesn't seem that your character, a lot of you guys outside of the suits, had a ton of physicality this season in Power Rangers Wild Force. Was there a typical Power Rangers training camp that you guys had to go through for Wild Force?
yes. So when we were cast, we had to go in and they sat us down and they said, okay, well, for the next few weeks, half the day, or no, actually more than half the day, is going to be physical training. And, part of me wanted to get up and run at first because I was like, what? I'm an actress. What are you talking about? Because I'd never really seen Power Rangers. So I didn't really know that a lot of fighting was going to be a part of it,
Right.
or stunts. And then part of your day is going to be acting class.
Right.
Which you and I have talked about
Yes,
a
we
little
have.
bit. And yeah, so we had to show up early every morning for many, many days and learn how to, well, first, like I said, they stretched us like we were Gumby, which didn't work very well with my, how this body is built. And then we had to practice kicks, like roundhouse kicks. We had to practice all different types of kicks. They taught us how to punch correctly. They taught us how to fall, how to roll. I got hurt so much. I got hurt quite a bit rolling, like the flinging your body forward and rolling. If you don't grow up doing that, starting at 23,
it's a different ball game at that point, right?
Yeah,
Now with this episode in particular, what's the most fond memory that you remembered watching it back? You're like, oh, like I completely remember this day. Would that have been the when you were in the pilot's chair and on that set?
You read my mind. Yes. And then that, but also too, I think my favorite was when I parachuted down and I landed on the Animarium and I met Princess Shayla. I think that was, I think my favorite.
Princess Shayla. For those that don't know, you actually had a really good friendship with her. I'm assuming you guys are still friends, yeah?
Anne Marie, yeah, she's so lovely. I mean, she has her daughter, she has her life, she has her wonderful business, and I have mine. But last time I saw her was Paramorphicon 2 years ago, and we had lots of girl time in the bathroom. I think our potty breaks were sort of not purposefully scheduled to be the same, but we ended up in the bathroom by ourselves, talking and sharing things, and
Was she
powdering our
originally
noses.
right? Was she originally cast on your set, or a part of the original cast, or no?
No, there was this other girl, and she was absolutely lovely, and she was blonde, and she was very pretty. She was tall, and she was like a blonde bombshell, and I thought she did a great job. We shot very little together, but we did shoot a little bit. And I honestly do not know why she was recast. But I think that Anne Marie, looking at both women, I think she was better suited to play Princess Shayla.
That's something that I don't know if a lot of fans actually know, that there was a different Princess Shayla in the beginning. So you guys actually shot footage with this other Princess Shayla. Roughly, was that in the original pilot?
Yeah.
Wow. So somewhere floating around, there's this original pilot of unaired footage that people have just never seen the light of day.
Yes, and I'm sure that it never will. But there are photos. There are fan photos. And what I'm curious about is, like, did all these people from the crew who took these pictures, did they let the pictures out? Because there are actual photos. I have seen fans have photos of us shooting on set with the previous Princess Shayla.
I'm actually glad we're talking here a little bit about this, because it's a small inside baseball for a lot of people that are watching. So more recently, we've been breaking a lot of Power Ranger news, but I actually have my own photo experience to talk about some of that. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I was in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con, and we were throwing a party at, I believe it was the Mission Brewery at the time, or it's probably still there. But our security guard randomly happened to also be a security guard on the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Really? Okay.
Right. So he actually, I met him, and then the next day when he did our event, he actually brought this photo album, his own personal photo album, in. And they were very candid behind-the-scene pictures of the original cast, all goofing around and, taking pictures together. The lovely Thuy Trang, who passed away, is in it. There's all these photos that nobody had ever seen. And he was like, and I remember he was like, I'll sell it to you for $300. And no joke. Yeah. No joke.
Wait, for $300?
Yeah. No joke. I was going to buy it. The only reason I didn't is because for some odd reason he wasn't in San Diego that Sunday, and I was just leaving San Diego. But I recently, about a year ago, I reached back out to him asking if he had those photos still, because I wanted to purchase them. Yeah. Not for any kind of like monetary gain, but more so for keepsake. Yeah. But he ended up selling them anyway. So I was like, somebody out there has some great photos of this MMPR cast that nobody's ever seen. So I'm
sure he sold them for a lot more than $300, because he was giving them to you. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But essentially, that's how some of these photos kind of get out there. And I'm kind of, it's interesting, because I would love to see that your unaired pilot at some point. I'm sure that's never going to float around, but hey, never say never. Never say never.
Somebody has it somewhere. Who owns it? Does Disney own it? Did they sell it?
I don't know. I'd assume that the rights would then transfer over to Hasbro. So maybe it's in the Hasbro vault somewhere. If not, it's in the Disney vault somewhere, and I for sure am never going to see it. Because right, nothing comes out of the Disney vault. Out of curiosity, we may have talked about this before, but it's good to bring this up. When you go through a transitional season, going from Saban to Disney in your case, you guys are pretty much outside of that, but were you aware that there was going to be a change in the person that's running the brand?
There was very little talk about any of that. I think we were kept pretty in the dark about everything that didn't sort of have to do with our immediate lines and what we were shooting and where we had to be. I didn't hear a lot of it. I think, yeah, I don't remember any talk of that.
Interesting.
But it has been almost 20 years.
Right.
So, and I keep saying that, but you forget certain things.
Something that we don't hear much of is the actress that played Toxica. I haven't heard a lot of you guys talk about her very much. Can you share any fond memories about her?
She had a great personality. She was really fun. She, yeah, she was quirky. Well, I'm quirky too. Quirky is a good thing, by the way.
It is good.
Yes.
That is Sin Wong also we're talking about.
Yes, and yeah, she was, you know, she pretty much, not that she stayed in character, but she, yeah, she and I never like really sat down and had a full-on conversation, because when we went to set, like, and as you can see, she's wearing so much makeup, right?
Right.
She has her nails, she's all of that. So she was in her own trailer having her makeup done, and then she probably went to her trailer waiting to shoot, and probably in the air conditioning trying to stay cool. And then they would call us all out and we would shoot. And it was normally really always on second unit.
Oh, was it? Interesting.
Yeah. And so also too, since we had more scenes, we were probably shooting something right up until they brought, Toxica and Jindrax out, right? And then they would say, okay, guys, blah, blah. And we would probably not hugging all the makeup, like, hi, how are you? And then get down to business. So,
right. So a lot of conversations in passing.
Yeah, no, and she did such a great job. She brought so much personality to that character. She really did.
It's fascinating watching back an episode that you were a part of. I'm sure that it's a little bit fascinating for you too, because there's so many deep cut things that you know about that just as us as fans, we don't necessarily stop to think about. But what was one of the most difficult things from that episode that we had just saw that you had to do? Or maybe even not necessarily difficult, but mentally had to get yourself ready for?
Definitely the scene where I'm in, my cockpit, and I have to sort of, have my mind, wrap my head around the fact that I'm like going to be having to eject myself and sort of go through that scene in my head prior to shooting it, so it looked realistic.
Now, something that I ask a lot of other people, and I think this is kind of your character, Taylor, warrants this, is that what is it to Taylor that you wanted to bring to the character that may have not necessarily been on the page?
I don't know, probably more dimension, not just hot and cold. She was either very much one way or, and very much just like that. So like she was either like very hot tempered or she was very soft.
Gotcha.
There was nothing really sort of like, I don't know, how it's written, there's not a lot of opportunity to really show all the nuances. So I totally get it. But Taylor was normally like really either like she was annoyed and she was pissed, or she was being soft. So it was like a sort of like a jump there.
As a character, let's put that Taylor hat back on for a second and try to revisit that. Okay. As a character, who did Taylor get along with the best from her team?
Cole.
So yeah. Cole and Taylor was pretty much saw eye to eye. That's a good answer.
Well, once they, I think once she accepted him as the leader, and she calls him leader.
Right.
you know, and sees what he's made of, and she starts to actually respect him because, you know, like we know, when the show starts, she does not respect him at all. She calls him Jungle Boy, right? He doesn't have a name. He's Jungle Boy. She doesn't respect him because, you know, he's stinky. He needs a bath. His hair is, you know, like she's an Air Force pilot. She's from the Air Force. So he seemed rather barbaric to Taylor, right?
That's that's a good answer. That's a good answer. I can totally see that. Now, the other question I had for you about this specific season, obviously, is, well, maybe not this season, but the character Taylor.
Okay.
Where do you think Taylor would be now in the Power Ranger universe?
Oh, in the Power Ranger universe. Okay. Well, I'd like to sort of think of her as like Kelly McGillis in Top Gun.
Okay.
Right?
Like training the new recruits, you know?
Yeah. And wearing her cute little suit and talking to all the hotshot pilots. They have no clue what, you know, that she was a Power Ranger and that she could morph and had powers. So, you know, I think that would be kind of cool shooting that.
I actually think that would be a great like epilogue to see, like, you know, where Taylor's at now. I think that's a pretty cool idea, right?
Thank you. Well, who can we call to talk about that?
Yeah, right. You know what? I would love to see Taylor return at some point because I feel like it's a great character that has a lot of depth to it if you give it the right, if it's in the hands of the right writer. I think there's a lot that can be done with that character.
Totally. It's all about the writing, isn't it? I mean,
you hit it right on the head. It really is all about the writing. Now, the ADR process.
Yes.
What's that?
Sorry. No, I said you can be a great actor, but if the script is poor, it doesn't look very good.
It's true.
Well.
I do want to ask you though about the ADR process before we close out, because for most people, they've told me that they've done their ADR by themselves. So is this the first time that you had to do extensive ADR, and was that done after the shoots?
Yes. So when you go in this little box, this little, well, it's not really a stage. It's an office, and there are two parts to it. There's people who play it back for you and sort of tell you what they want from you. And then you're in this sort of booth. It's a booth. I didn't have lunch, so I'm starting to space out. Sorry.
No, you're good.
You're in a booth, and you have your script, and it's a lot of like "hias" and "huh" and "ow" and stuff like that. And then they play it back, and then there's beeps, and then when the beeps stop, you have to start your dialogue.
Did you have any freedom to play with some of the dialogue, or was it pretty strict on what they wanted?
Yeah, it was strict. Yeah.
What were some of the?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
As you know, as an actor, I've been on shows where you have some freedom. You can sort of play around with an or a or a, or like throw a little, I don't know, something in that you feel like your character would say. But this show was not one of those, and that's fine because you have to actually respect the writer, and it's their words.
And you guys are shooting at quite a fast pace. 3 episodes a week is a lot. And I believe that if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's still like that. So
really,
yeah, 3 episodes a week is what I've been hearing from current cast members. That's a lot. It's a heavy workload.
Yes, it is. But that's also why it's good that it's a bunch of young people.
It's true. I mean, one of the big takeaways, which you had stated earlier, was that you wish that you could have been in the moment and enjoyed it more. And actually, that's one thing that I'm kind of finding doing with these watch-alongs with other Rangers, is that they feel like they wish they could have stayed in that moment, like smelled the roses a little bit more while they were doing the show. Really? So yeah, that's the one common denominator I'm coming to find out.
But it's because it's many months. It's like 9 months Um, but it goes by very quickly. It's sort of
Right.
surreal. And the days are very long. And so you're just sort of, I have never been an early morning person, and I've never gone to bed early except for when I'm filming. And, when you have to be on set at 5:45 every morning, you know, going to bed at like 8 o'clock at night, it just sort of throws you off, so I would love to go back and just sort of be more, I don't know, present and
I
cherish it
mean,
more.
luckily you did have the advantage of going home though, because now these current cast members pretty much, now that they're all shooting in New Zealand, are pretty much living, or a lot of them are living together
Yeah.
out there. So they're not only seeing each other at work for 12 to 16 hours a day, but they're living with those people too. So I can only imagine that can get tough for a lot of these newer guys.
Oh yeah. And I don't actually think that's a good thing to live with your castmates.
Right.
I think it's good to have space, and also living with anybody, there's going to be some, tension or little bickering here and there, or just getting tired of seeing someone morning, noon, and night, right?
It's human nature.
It is. And I think it's good. You get to go home, you have your script, and you can work on your script, and you don't have, say you're like best friends with all your cast. Well, that's great. But if you're home after shooting, farting around, you're not necessarily working on your sides, your lines for the next day, right?
Wow, that's incredible. I didn't even factor that into it, because you actually have to still remember lines as you're shooting 3 episodes in a week. So it must, at some point, all blur together.
Totally. As you can tell, and see, it's not like we're like doing monologues.
Right.
It's not like when I was on the soap and you had to memorize, huge chunks of dialogue. You don't have that for the show, but you at least want to like know what's going on and what you're saying and what's going on each day, shoot wise, especially when you're shooting 3 different episodes. How are you sort of keeping track of each one and where you are and what happened prior?
I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. We had not pre-planned this, so this is one of those things. Out of curiosity, do you remember any of your lines from that episode, Bare Essentials, episode number 7, Power Rangers Wild Force? It's okay if you don't, because I barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So
you're funny. Oh. Oh no. Let's skip that one.
I'm gonna chalk that up to a maybe. Let me ask you about this: the dog tags. You did say you kept them.
I have them.
And then that's interesting, mainly because I feel like there's certain things in our lives that we hold dear, because it sparks up some type of memory from a very specific period or time in our life.
Yeah.
How significant are those dog tags to you?
Well, they are one of only very few things that I got to keep as far as props that were very near and dear to Taylor. I was given very few things. So the dog tags, I think they had 2 or 3, I think maybe 2 copies of them. They actually say Taylor Earhart on them.
Oh, wow.
And the number and all that. So, I was very grateful that they gave me those. And yeah, they're very near and dear to me. I have not like a shrine by any means, but I do have a dresser that has not only all of my like Power Ranger stuff from the shoot and my costume stuff, but all of my fan art and fan letters. I keep it all together, and yeah, so it's all very special to me.
It's amazing. Now we're gonna close this out, but you know what? I just had an idea. You should start selling those dog tags. Make them, reduplicate them. I guess not the ones that you have, but like reduplicate them. Maybe Wild Force logo on the other side of it. Who
That
knows?
is a great, you know, brilliant minds, and you have one of them. And so, if you have any other of those ideas, let's talk later, and I'll just bring a notepad.
Well, one of the ideas that you had, which is doing extremely well for you, is your Sullivan Farms mustard, which is fantastic and amazing. People can get it at Bristol Farms and visit the website. And if people tell people about it. Let them know, because we did a cooking thing with it. I tasted it. It's amazing.
We had so much fun. Well, I had so much fun.
I did too.
Thank you all. So about 7 years ago, I started selling this mustard that I make. And I think the fans sort of enjoy that I make it, not because I make mustard. I mean, that sounds like super boring, but because I was the Yellow Ranger, and what color is mustard?
Right.
It's yellow, right? And how random. I mean, how many people do you meet who sell condiments and sell them to stores? But yeah, I started doing farmers markets, and then I got into beautiful wine and cheese shops. I got really lucky. Some stores gave me a chance. And then my dear friend wrote an article to be published in the LA Weekly, and then I was featured in Weight Watchers magazine, The Mustard, and it was featured in some magazines, and then that helped me get into some larger stores, I think, because it sort of was making a name for itself. And so for the past 2 years, my real main account is Bristol Farms, which is a store here in Southern California, and it's from Santa Barbara, Palm Springs, all the way down to San Diego. And their sister stores, which are called Lazy Acres, which is sort of like more of their natural food store chain. And I work a lot with their corporate, and I do a lot of their meat and seafood special weekends with them, and they've really changed my life and really put Sullivan Farms on the map. And now it's nationwide. So soon I'm going to on Instagram sort of put a post with a series of pictures on it that actually show you all the different stores, because I think I'm in about 36 or 37 stores nationwide. I just added 2 this past week in Pennsylvania and in Ohio. So it's from New Jersey to Los Angeles now. So
that is incredible. And the cool thing about it too is, for all of you guys watching this at Ranger Nation, Allison also does appearances in some of these markets with her mustard. So if you guys want to go out, find out where she's at, go follow her on Instagram. But if you want to find out where she's going to be next, you can meet one of the Rangers, one of your favorite Rangers, and get and she loves to meet you guys, and get some of her mustard, because it is fantastic. And you have a new flavor out, right?
It will be so. To add a new flavor is there's a lot of rigmarole that goes. I'm sure most people don't know that word. There's a lot that has to.
I don't know what that word is. I've never heard
one of my dad words. There's a lot that goes into adding a new flavor. Like you have to actually, like I have to go to my co-packer. So I have to hire a company, and I have a company that has a big factory, and it's all made by hand, and I'm actually there, but it's made in these huge, I'd like to say cauldron.
Yeah, like huge vats of mustard in there. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, like as tall as a person, huge pots.
Where you could like swim in it, like Scrooge McDuck, if you really wanted to. Right.
I could cook you up in it.
Right.
And so yeah, and so I have to actually go there, and then we have to do a test day where I sort of show them how I've cooked it and what I put into it, and then we test it, and they test the viscosity, the temperature. They do so many tests, and then they have to send it up to the state where it gets approved for. I know this is probably tedious what I'm saying, but for its pH, it's like all this cool scientific stuff to make sure that it's safe to be put into a jar and sit on a shelf for a long period. And and then we go from there. So I actually am going to my co-packer, hopefully at the end of this coming week. We're trying to schedule to do a big cook, and hopefully adding this new flavor, bourbon. Man, bourbon. Who doesn't like bourbon?
I was literally just drinking bourbon last night. I was. You should have been there. Should have been there.
Hey, I was at home, with my cats and dogs.
It would have been boring here. It would have been such a bore for you to get. So I do have a question. So normally you would sell, unfortunately, there's no Power Morphicon this year. However,
I miss my friends.
I know. However, sometimes when you do these convention appearances, well, you'll bring mustard, right? You'll have some mustard.
Yeah.
And fans can pick it up that way too once these conventions start going again.
Yeah. I do have a website. It's not very fancy schmancy, but it's SullivanFarmsFoods.com, and it's Sullivan Farms Foods. Farms and foods are both plural. And what I found some fans love is that, so I don't cook it myself, but I ship it myself. I'm the one packing it, and I always add like a signed letter to the person, like this card thanking them for buying the product. And I even offer to sign the jars. Sometimes fans will ask me to sign their jars, which I love doing.
Yeah, that's amazing, because sometimes, look, I know that we downplayed condiments, but let's be honest about it, because there's certain people I know, myself included at times, I can't eat certain things without certain condiments on them. So it's just the way it is. And I feel like that's more, that people love condiments. I'm one of them.
Maybe if I put my mustard on pizza, since you don't like pizza, you would eat it.
You know what? I'll challenge
over that.
I'll challenge myself, and if we should do a pizza challenge, because I feel that, like, if we make a pizza to figure out if I like it or not. I like the toppings on pizzas. I'm just not a pizza guy.
Not a bread, yeah. But I did make you that burger, and you ate the entire thing, and there was a lot of bread.
That's the thing. So it's not like I'll go out of my way and take bread off of things. Like, if it's there, I consider the bread a part of the package, and I'll just eat it. Okay, so it's not necessarily
the same thing. What do you?
Yeah, but the thing is, I have a choice whether or not, like, a hamburger is gonna have bread on it. And I like hamburgers because I like the contents of what's inside. Yes, I do like the toppings on pizzas, but usually I can get that in, like, lasagna. So I would just eat lasagna over just eating a pizza. Does that make any sense?
Over pizza?
Yeah, look, I love Italian food. I'm a big pasta guy. I'm a big rice guy. Like, I like carbs. Believe me, I like carbs. Pizza and bread are just not my things. I don't jive with it. It doesn't mess up my stomach or anything. It's just, I can't explain it. Texture-wise, it's not really my thing.
It's not your bag, baby.
It's not. It is really not.
Well, however, because I will order Domino's and I will eat the entire very large pizza by myself.
I'm not going to lie. So this is not a Domino's sponsored program.
No, it's not in any way, shape, or form.
With that being said, I do think I am a Domino's fan in terms of, like, the fast food type of pizza. If there was one that I had to choose, it would be Domino's, because I do feel, because I feel like some odd reason it tastes the freshest to me. So,
well, I mean, it is fresh. I mean, because I asked for weird pizzas.
What's your topping? What's your pizza topping? And yes, I'm going to judge you on this, but
you will probably get very grossed out by it.
Go, shoot.
Okay. So I'm not a bread person either, but there's something, and you guys, this is not an ad for Domino's, I swear. If it was, I would have a box here and be eating it now because I'm starving. I love their garlic butter crust. Like they're like normal crust.
Yeah.
Garlic and butter. And then, so I get barbecue sauce, not tomato sauce.
Okay.
I get extra. And then I get extra cheese, even though I'm lactose intolerant. That's another story. And then I get pineapple.
Oh, Allison.
And mushrooms and black olives.
That's a fascinating mix.
It is, and I eat the entire thing. and my mouth is salivating thinking about it now. I would eat that every few days if I could. But like they have this deal where you get two and it's really, really cheap. And so I pack on the pounds because I eat all of that.
Well, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. But here's the real judgment, Allison.
Okay.
As a lot of people, I am not a pineapple and pizza guy. Like I feel
what
that.
Do you do?
Huh?
What is your favorite?
I don't really have a favorite pizza, but if I were to choose choose my favorite toppings, and I love that people are like, I can't believe we're talking about pizza toppings right now, but this is why I love doing this show. Is I think my pizza, obviously I got to go cheese. I'm going I go with classic marinara sauce. I'm you know what? I'm basic AF. I like sometimes I'll eat a supreme pizza and that's my jam. I don't really like jazzing things up a little too much. I do like putting Tabasco sauce on my pizza.
Yes, so good.
Yeah, I'm a Tabasco sauce guy, and
you're a vinegar person then.
Yeah, I also also like putting the Parmesan cheese as well, and the pepper flakes. So
I'm gonna have to stop this when we do another pizza because this is killing me.
We are definitely gonna. Yes, I think we should have.
Not that I want this to end by any means. We can go as long as you possibly want, but I am probably going to be doing that.
Well, now that we're talking about it, I might do pizza too. Chances are I probably won't. Chances are, I mean, look, it sounds like an entertaining idea in my head, but it's the same way. Like I'm not a big. I mean, it's interesting. I didn't like hot dogs all up until like this year. So I would eat them if I was really hungry. But now more recently, I've been getting into like hot dogs, and I don't know why. Yeah.
Like good sausages or like a real, like an Oscar Mayer hot dog?
I'm talking both. And I think, honestly, it started last year. I think because I traveled to Chicago quite a bit last year. And I think that they have a very specific Chicago dog. So anybody watching from Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. I really fell in love with this Chicago dog. And believe it or not, this is going to sound even weirder. I really like deep dish pizza. Even though I don't. Even though I don't like bread, I do somehow like deep dish pizza, which is really bizarre.
I can tell you why.
Because it's the fluffiness, the airiness to it. Is that why?
Well, from what I recall, there's way more topping than on a regular pizza, and you're a topping guy.
I am.
Like it's like this much topping and then that much pizza, which I didn't like. I mean, this much bread.
Wait, says the person that puts on double barbecue sauce, pineapples.
I know, but it's not deep dish. It's not this. It's like that thick.
That's true. It's I don't get it. I don't understand it. But like, deep dish is kind of like my jam. But I will never go out of my way to order pizza. I have to be in a very specific mood or in a group setting. I don't think I've ever eaten pizza by myself, but it definitely in group settings. Yeah, it's a true story. I didn't think about that.
You're so strange.
Now that we're talking about this, I'm a really weird guy. So I think it's a good time to end this show.
Strange is awesome.
It is awesome. And you and I have been talking. You and I have been talking that next time we possibly do this, like we might have a special guest doing a special episode. Could be a lot of fun, maybe.
Yes. Fingers crossed. We can get them.
Yes. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But Allison, thank you so much for being so gracious and doing this watch along. I think we got a lot of insight into Power Rangers Wild Force, episode 7, Bare Essentials. And I hope you guys like the show. Allison, where can everybody follow you on social media?
Allison Kipperman Sullivan on Instagram. I know it's a mouthful. And I have my Sullivan Farms Mustard Instagram. But mostly and I'm terrible about Facebook. I'm really, really bad. I don't know the last time that I was on it, but for Instagram, Allison Kipperman Sullivan, my maiden and married names. And and if you message me there, I'll try to get back to you. I like to know the fans and I love to talk to you. I've actually made quite a few friends with fans and, it's really blessed and enhanced my life. So thank you. And thank you for having me on.
Of course. Really I love hanging out with you. Love talking to you. But next time, guys, we're going to be doing this Morphin Monday watch along again. So stay tuned to find out who that next guest is. But until next time, Ranger Nation, may the power protect you. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Let me stop the video. Hold